In this video, I'll show you how to create awesome looking overlay graphics to make your videos stand out on social media using Adobe Photoshop. Welcome back to Learn Share Photo Video. My name is Cjam, and on this channel we do a lot of video editing and graphic design tutorials just like this one. So if you're new here and interested in that kind of creative content, consider subscribing so you don't miss any future videos. Now, in the last tutorial that I posted here on the channel, we did some vertical video editing. If you haven't seen it, I'll put it up here in the YouTube card so you can check it out. In that video, we used some overlay graphics to really level up the production value of our vertical videos. So today, we're gonna go straight into Photoshop and I'll show you every single step and every single technique that I used to design those overlays. Alright, so here we have Adobe Photoshop open and you guys know the drill. We're gonna go create new, and the template that we'll be working on today is a vertical video template to get started. So we're gonna go ahead and make that 1080 pixels wide by 1920 pixels high, with our resolution at 300 dpi, and we're not going to change anything else, so let's just go ahead and click create. Alright, and here we have our template. And remember, the dimensions for a vertical video for social media is 1080 pixels wide by 1920 pixels high. So that's exactly why we chose those dimensions to begin with. Now, one of the first things that I want to do to this is bring in a photo of myself to use as the background for my overlay template, right? So let me just go ahead and drag in my picture that I have right here in this folder. It's a photo of me, there it is. And as you can see, I have my control options here. I can just drag and expand the size of my picture, or I could have come up top here and just change the values, right? Let's do 60%. And with the aspect ratio button locked right here, it will make whatever I enter here in the width be the same here in the height. All right, let me just position it right there. We can always increase it later on, right? And I'm just going to go ahead and bring in the Adobe Premiere Pro logo next, because this is an overlay template for my how to edit vertical videos in Adobe Premiere Pro, right? So let's just go ahead and bring that in. And I have it in the same folder here, so let me just go ahead and drag it in. And I can just size it down by picking on any of the corner arrows, right? Just size it down to about there. And then I want to bring in the Learn Share logo, so let me just go in that same folder here and just drag it in. And let's just size it down to match the Premiere Pro logo as best as possible. You see that pink line there is telling me that this pink line that came right here is telling me that the bottom of both of these elements are on the same line, right? All right, let's do about that. And let's just go ahead and save our project by hitting Control and S on our keyboard. And let's just name this LSPV overlay graphics tutorial, right? And let's just hit OK. Let me just go ahead and make this full screen by hitting F on my keyboard to cycle through the screen modes. And then I'm just going to hit H for the hand tool and just drag this over a bit. And then hit Alt on my keyboard and then roll my mouse wheel forward to zoom in my template, right? And then let me just go down here to my layer options right here, and I'm just going to hit this and then make a solid color layer. And I want to change this to purple, but I want the purple that's on the Premiere Pro logo. So let me just go ahead and hit OK, and then bring this down in the layers so I can see the Premiere logo and pick the color from it. There it is. And then I'm just going to double click on this color fill. See that if I turn it off, it's gone. So I'm just going to turn it back on, double click on it, and I'll get this color picker, and then I'm just going to pick, see this eyedropper here? I'm just going to pick the purple from the Premiere Pro logo, right? That's the purple I want. Okay. And if you knew the hex code is just a 6-digit or 6-character code that identifies each color on the RGB spectrum, and the hex code for this purple is right here. See this number here? And it's always indicated by hashtag or pound and then a 6-character number, right? Let's just hit OK, then Control and S to save what we just did. And then we're going to just change the blending mode of this purple layer, right? And to do that, the blending mode is right here where it says normal. You could just click on one of them and it would change the blending mode. Or you can just click it and then roll your mouse wheel and it will begin to cycle through all the blending modes, and you'll be able to see the effects of each mode. You see that as I'm rolling my mouse wheel, it's changing as the name changes, right? But what I want to do, let's just leave it at normal, and then let's just change the opacity to about 40%. Or I could have just hit the number 4 on the numeric pad on my keyboard, right? Let's leave it at that. And then next, I want to put an adjustment layer over my image to just take out all the color that's there, to just make it black and white. So let's just go down here, hit the same circle, and let's just look for hue and saturation. And here it is. This is the layer that we just got. It's not doing anything right now because I have to go over here on my properties tab right here and just change the saturation, right? And you can see that it's making my image black and white. See that? Look again. If I increase it all the way, it's increasing all the color in my image, but that's not what I want. So let me just bring it all the way down to -100, and that's what I want. But right now, it's affecting everything that's beneath the layer. So if I were to move this up, it would change everything to black and white. See that? Even the Premiere Pro logo became black and white, but that's not what I want. I only want it to affect my image. So I'm just going to drag it back down above my image layer right here. And I'm just going to go ahead and right click and click create clipping mask, and it will automatically only affect my image layer, even if I brought something else beneath it, right? Let me just go ahead and hit Ctrl and S to save my project. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a shape, a box in this case, or a square that I want my video to fill. So when I put this in my video editing program, there's going to be a space where my video will fill, and that shape can be any shape you want, but in this tutorial, I'm just going to use a square, right? So let's go ahead and hit U on our keyboard for the shape tool, and I'm just going to click and drag while holding Shift on my keyboard to get a perfect square, right? And let's just go ahead and center this to my background by selecting it over my layers, and then selecting the background by pressing Ctrl and clicking both of them. And then let's hit V on our keyboard to align the horizontal and the vertical centers. And then I'm going to move it up above the color fill layer, right? Because as you can see just now, it's white, but it's not looking very white because it's underneath the purple, right? So let's move it up. All right. Ctrl and S to save, and then let's change it from a stroke to a fill, right? Let's go ahead and hit U, and then let's add a fill to it. Let's just do black. That way we know that that's where our video will be, right? That's the space that our video is going to take up. All right, and let's go ahead and change the stroke to yellow. Let's go back up to stroke, and let's just choose a yellow, or let's choose this yellow right here, right? And let's increase the stroke to about 20. All right, there we have it. Ctrl and S to save. And let me just increase the size of my photo so my eyes are not like behind this. That's where my eyes are. Let's just move my eyes to about up here, right? Let's go ahead and increase the size of my photo by hitting Ctrl and T to get the control options. And then what I just did to zoom out was hit Alt on my keyboard and then rolled my mouse wheel backwards. And let me just expand my picture by clicking on one of the corners and just dragging the picture up, right? Let's do about there. Let's just move this over a little bit. That seems about good. That's cool, right? Let's just press enter to place it there, right? Let's make it a bit smaller. Right. About there. That should be good, right? Go ahead and Ctrl and S to save. And oh, the first thing I should have done was drag some guides over, right? Let's just go ahead and click up here on our rulers. If you don't have the rulers enabled in your version of Photoshop, you can just hit Ctrl and R on your keyboard, and you can see that the rulers are appearing and disappearing. The rulers are right here. See that? Ctrl and R on your keyboard, right? And I'm just going to drag down a guide here to about 100 pixels, or let's do 200. And then from the left and right, the same thing, but we're just going to do 100 on the left and right. And this is 1080 right at the edge, 1080 pixels. So 100 pixels from that would be 980, about there. And the reason why I did 200 on top is because when someone is viewing your story on Instagram, your DP is normally like about right here in the circle, right? So let's just give it a bit of wiggle room just in case. We wouldn't want the DP to be covering up any text or any graphic that we put here on this overlay. Let's go ahead and type by hitting T on our keyboard, and let's just write some text. We had Adobe Premiere, or let me change that text so it's visible. So I'm just hitting T on my keyboard and just coming up top to my tool options here and clicking on this color box for the text, and then I can pick a color from anywhere on my template, right? I can pick from over here on my swatches, or I can pick from here, right? But what's happening is the text is below the purple right here within the clipping mask that I did earlier, but that's not what I want. So let's just click on it and drag it above the purple, and then there we are, right? Let me just pick another color so you see what I was doing earlier. Let's go back up to the text, and then let's just pick a color from the swatches, and you can see every color I pick, the text is being changed to that color, right? Let's go ahead and just pick back the yellow from the border. All right, let's just do Adobe. Oh, all right, Adobe, and then tutorial underneath here, right? And then let's align all of this up with our text tool options up top. Let's align it centered, right? And then let's make the tutorial white. Hold on, let me bring it over so you guys can see it. I'm just going to make the text tutorial white. All right, cool, that's what we have there. And then let's just size all this down and reduce the tracking over here on my tool options. All right, let's just size it all down to about 20. That should be good, right? And then let me just write the word Pro. The Adobe Premiere tutorial, it should be Adobe Premiere Pro, my bad. And then let's just align this to the center by selecting the text and our background layer, hitting V on our keyboard and just aligning the horizontal centers, right? There we are. All right, let's just size down the text a bit more. Let's just do 18, and then let's move it down closer to the box, and then let's move it up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 places up. I just hit V on my keyboard for the move tool, then held shift on my keyboard and then moved it up by pressing the up arrow on my keyboard 5 times, right? And that's about 50 pixels. All right, let me just duplicate this text by hitting Ctrl and J on my keyboard, and then let's drag that down to below the shape, right? And let's move it down 5 spots, holding shift and then pressing the down arrow 5 times, right? All right, there we have it. And what we had here was how to edit vertical videos, right? And let's just interchange the colors similarly to how we have it up top. So we have the white here closer to the box and then the goldish yellow outside. So let's just change the how to edit to white, right? And we're just selecting, we already have our type 2 selected, so you know automatically we have our tool options up top, and we're just clicking the color box to just change the color to white, right? All right, then let's just press enter on your numeric pad. That will place it, or you could have just hit this arrow right here, right next to the color box. All right, let's go ahead and just size down our logos by hitting V on our keyboard, and then let's find the logos. We have them both here, right? Let's just rename this Adobe Premiere Pro logo, and I just renamed it by double clicking on it. All right, and then let's name this Learn Share logo, right? And then let's make them smaller now by selecting both of them and then hitting Ctrl and T, and then just sizing them down, right? Oh, we didn't add a guide to the bottom of this project. Let's just drag from the top. It's 1920 pixels, so 100 pixels from that is 1820, right? Let's hold shift while we're doing it to get the snap measurements, and then let's just center them, right? So let's have the Learn Share logo first, actually, and then let's have the Premiere Pro logo second, right? All right, and then let's move it up to about, let's do 5 clicks from the guide, right? So it's touching the guide, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's good, right? And then That's, you see that line that's running vertically in the middle of the project, the pink line, the tall one, that's telling us that it's aligned to the center of our project, right? All right, that's what we want. Zoom back out. In the graphic that I used for the tutorial, I also had a little at LearnShare Photo here, the social media handle for LearnShare. Let's go ahead and type that, pressing T on our keyboard for our text tool, and then let's type at LearnShare Photo, all in lowercase, and then let's change it to white by going up top to our tool options, clicking the color box, changing it to white, and then let's making the size, or let's make the size rather really small, about 8, and then let's change the tracking over the right hand side on our properties tab, or you could have come here to your character tab, depending on wherever you have your tabs in your Photoshop layout, and then let's make this about 100. All right, then let's hit enter on a numeric pad and then just align it. See that vertical pink line is telling me that the LearnShare Photo, the at LearnShare Photo, is aligned vertically in our project, right? But if you don't have that pink line in your version of Photoshop, you just select the LearnShare and your background by hitting V on your keyboard and clicking both of them while holding the Control key, and then hitting align horizontal centers up top on your tool options, right? Then we're going to move it down to touch the yellow border, and then moving it up about 2 spaces up, right, by holding shift on our keyboard while we're on our move tool, and then pressing the up arrow twice, 1, 2, and then let's leave it there, right? So when our video is in here, we'll always have this at LearnShare Photo, right? Kind of some branding, right? But let's make the text a bit smaller actually. Let's go back to our text tool by hitting T, clicking, or we could have just clicked on the layer and just change the size to about 6, right? That's fine, that should be good. Enter, Control and S to save. Let's also make our purple color here, let's also make that a bit brighter, right? It's at 40% opacity now. Let's go ahead and change that to about 60. That looks better. Let's do 70 maybe. That looks even better, right? And here's the important part. This is what you have to do to ensure that when you put this overlay on your video is visible, right? And it will fill up this slot right here. As it is right now, your video won't be visible because we need to cut out this area. And then when we save it as a PNG, and this area right here needs to be transparent so your video shows up there in your video editing program, right? So let's go ahead and click on our picture first. Let's turn off the purple layer for now. Let's turn off the fill of the rectangle right here, or rectangle layer, and then we're gonna press U on our keyboard for our shape tool, and then let's go ahead and turn off the fill, right? And then what we're going to do next is go back to our image layer here, and then we're going to create a mask by coming down to our layer options here and clicking this rectangle with the circle in it for a layer mask. And then we're going to click on our rectangle while holding the Control key, and that will give us a selection of the rectangle layer right here, this rectangle layer. We're going to hold Control and click on it, and you see we got a selection. Let me zoom in. We got a selection right here. Those moving lines is telling you that that's a selected area that we made. And you know how we do selections, you can also do custom selections, because in our background removal tutorial, you know, we made custom selections there, right? But this method now, you just hit Control and click on a particular shape or element in your project, and you get a selection based on the shape of that element, right? So now that we have our selection made that we want, we're going to go ahead and select our mask layer here on my image, and then we're just going to hit delete on our keyboard, because we're just deleting the area here that's selected on the mask, right? So let me go ahead and hit delete, and you see that it's gone, right? But it's still white because our background layer right here over our layers, the very last one, is still on, right? So let's turn that off. Now this checkered area, this gray and white checker that you're seeing here, is telling us that when we save this as a transparent PNG, this area right here will be transparent, right? Where you're seeing the checkers right there. That area right there is all transparent. Nothing will be there when you save it as a transparent PNG, right? All right, let's do the same thing by just repeating that step for our purple fill, because when we turn back on the purple fill, you can see that it's still, see that? Look how right here it changes. This area right here, see how that changes? All right, let's deselect our selection that we made by hitting Control and D. And then let's hit Control and S to save all that we just did. And let's go ahead and hit our color fill layer, and then let's create a mask, repeating the steps, right? And then we're gonna go ahead and select our rectangle again by holding Control on our keyboard and clicking on it, and that will give us the selection that we just used on my image layer. And then we're gonna select the mask layer. See right now the purple is selected. If I were to go ahead and press delete, it wouldn't work, right? It says could not complete request because the content of the layer is not directly editable. So let's go ahead and click OK and then select the mask. Look right here, see that? These brackets around the purple is telling me that the purple layer is what's selected and not the mask of that layer, right? So let's go ahead and select the mask. See how that changed? Now let's go ahead and hit delete and see what happens. All right, let's hit delete on my keyboard, and you see that it's now transparent, right? Now let's deselect it by hitting Control and D, and then zooming out by holding Alt and rolling my mouse wheel backward. And now we're beginning to look like a real professional with our overlay, right? See how it's transparent and ready to go. So when you put this in your video editing program, your video will be visible in this custom shape that you made, right? You can also make this like a vertical rectangle to fit a vertical video if you're working on a vertical video, or you can do a horizontal, you know, 16:9, the traditional shape of a video when you record it on a phone or a camera. Like if you hold your phone like this sideways, or if you use your DSLR camera or whatever camera you're using, your aspect ratio would be 16:9, right? So it's the same principle that you would apply here. It doesn't matter what shape you want to have in your overlay. Once you have your shape and the area where your shape is transparent, indicated by these gray and white checkers, then you know that you're good to go. So whatever shape you want to make here, you could have made a circle, a triangle, a star, whatever shape it is. As long as you delete the selected area of that shape, then you're good to go. And let me just show you how masks work. The area that I deleted from the image is not affecting the image, right? Let me show you right here. If I click on the mask on my image layer here, and I right click and hit disable layer mask, you will see that the area of my image is still there, right? So what I did on the mask is not affecting the image itself. So when you're editing, always try and preserve your original elements, like your images and stuff like that, logos. If you're modifying them for a graphic, always try and retain the original state of all your elements, right? Don't destroy your elements and then you can't get it back to the original state if you need to. Let's undo that by hitting Control and Z on our keyboard, and then Control and S to save everything, right? Let me just go ahead and add some little more spice to this. Let me just hit T on my keyboard for my text tool, and then let's just go ahead and add some plus signs. Let's make them a bit bigger, and then they're not really visible right now, so let's move this above our purple fill layer, and then let's make this one stay white, and then let's duplicate it by hitting Control and J, and then moving it up by pressing Shift on our keyboard and the up arrow while our move tool is selected. And let's go up about 1 2 3 4 5 up, and then 1 2 3 4 5 to the left, right? And let's change this one right here to yellow by hitting T, hitting our color box and just picking the same yellow here, right? Control and S to save. And then let's do the same thing and add some forward slashes to the left hand side. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10, about 10 of them. And then let's put it here. I mean, our DP would go here on Instagram, right? So we know that our circular DP would be about here, so that should be good. Let's add some more so it's visible. 1 2 3 4 5, and then let's make a few of them white by hitting T, highlighting some of them and just changing the color to white. All right, All right, that's not looking too bad, right? Control and S to save. Let's make the plus signs a bit bigger by just selecting both of the plus layers here. Control and T to get our control options and just dragging it up a bit, right? Just scaling the size a little bit. Control and S to save. And then let's add some more shapes to the bottom of the template here. Let's hit T on our keyboard and then let's do some minus signs, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Or maybe just do 7. And then select all of that, change the color to yellow. Okay, and then let's make the size increase from 12 to about 20. That should be good. Let's move it down a bit to about there. Let's move it over to see where it centers the Premiere Pro logo. That looks about centered, right? Let's add some more. 1, 2, and then let's just press enter. V on our keyboard to move it. And then let's move it down a bit, and then let's duplicate it by hitting Ctrl and J, and then moving it down by hitting V on our keyboard, then holding Shift and pressing the down arrow 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, and then 5 times to the right, sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then let's hit T on our keyboard for the text tool, because as it is right now, these are still text, and then let's change the color to white, like we did above, and then let's select both of them, then hit Ctrl and J, and then let's Ctrl and J to duplicate, and then let's hit V, and then move it over to the left hand side, right? That looks about good, right? And you see that's telling me that it's 100 pixels on the left side and the same on the right side, right? So this is at equal positions on the left and right, right? Right. Control and S to save. Now let's look and see what we have. Let's turn off our guides by hitting Control and the semicolon, and then let's zoom out and see what we have there, right? Not too bad. What do you guys think? Our video will be right here in this empty slot, right? All right, let's go ahead and save it as a version or a file type that we can use when we're bringing it into our video editing program, right? And remember, you can get way more creative with this, right? I'm just showing you the basic steps. That way you guys can really level up all of your videos by adding video overlays to them, right? All right, let's hit Control, Shift, and S to save this as a, let's hit Save As type here, and we're looking for PNG, right? All right, let's click Save. And now we know where we can go for our file and what we can use our file to do, right? All right, let's go ahead and organize our layers. Let's select all of the symbols that we made, you know, the forward slashes, the minus sign, and the plus signs. Let's select them all by hitting Shift on our keyboard and selecting the first one, and then selecting all of them by holding Shift. Then Control and G to group. See that group there? If I turn it off, they're all gone. And then let me just move the LearnShare logo a bit over to the left, maybe just 2 places, 1, 2, while holding Shift. And then let's just go back to our group, name the group Symbols, and let's just name this group with the how to edit on the Adobe Premiere Pro. Let's name that, or let's just leave that as is. Let's keep the LearnShare logo and the Adobe logo in a group, Control and G after we selected both of them. Double clicking to rename, let's name them logos. All right, what's right here? Rectangle, let's name this border. All right, and let's just name this the image, and the purple layer, let's just name that background, or yeah, background works. All right, then Control and S. Let's move border all the way up to the top. Move the LearnShare logo down, and there we are. Control and S to save, and that's it. And you guys already know how to add this into your video editing program because we did it in the last tutorial, right? Remember, it's up there in the YouTube card linked so you can watch it. I'll also put it in the description below. Let's go ahead and make a new template because I have one more template that I want to make to share with you guys, right? Let's make a square template that will fit a regular sized or regular aspect ratio video, right? A 16:9 horizontal video. So we're gonna put a regular video within a square template for like Instagram, Facebook, stuff like that, right? So let's go ahead and hit Control and N, and the size of our template will be 1920 by 1920. That's a perfect square. And then let's go ahead and click create, right? All right, there we have it. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy the elements from our previous design into this new design, right? So let me just hit F on my keyboard to cycle through the screen modes. Here we are. This is the new one here. This is the one we just did. All right, let's go ahead and select what I want. I want the background. I want the symbols. Let's just do that for now, background and symbols, or let's just do background and border, right? Background, symbols, and border. Control and C to copy, and then come into our new template, Control, Shift, and V to paste it in the exact same coordinates, meaning that these coordinates right here on the left on the ruler are Y coordinates, and then these up top right here horizontally are X coordinates, right? And when you hit Control, Shift, and V, it will paste them in the exact same coordinates that it copied them from, right? So it will sit in your document in the same position, right? Now, obviously, this rectangle needs to be made in the 16:9 aspect ratio because right now it's a square, right? So let's go ahead and click on that. But first, let's Control and S to save, and let's name this LSPV overlay graphics tutorial bracket square, right? Enter. All right, and then now let's hit U on our keyboard to change the size of our shape here, and let's just change this to a 16:9 aspect ratio, which would be 1600, but let's just uncheck the aspect ratio lock button. Let's just do 1600 by 900 and press enter, and now we can lock it back to the aspect ratio, right? And then you see this cutout right here. That's because the mask on the image and on the purple background is still there. So let's go ahead and go in our background, and let's just hit the color fill here, the purple. Then let's just hit delete layer mask, see that? And let's just delete layer mask. But instead of just deleting it, what I could do is I could have aligned the border to the center. Let's undo that. Let's undo what we just did by hitting Control and Z, then aligning our border to our background by selecting both of them and then pressing V for the move tool, and then aligning the horizontal and vertical centers. And then you know what comes next, right? We click on the border to get the selection of the shape, right? So let's click on our border. While holding Control, we have our selection. Then, because our selection is already larger than the selection that we had earlier in the previous template, we can just go ahead and delete it, right? But before I delete it, let me just go ahead and select our mask. Remember, this is not the mask layer, this is, right? And we're just hitting delete on our keyboard. See that? It deleted this area here. And let's do the same thing on the image layer, clicking the mask layer and hitting delete, right? And when we turn off the background layer, we can see the visible area on our template that will be transparent, which is this area right here, right? And let's hit F on our keyboard to go back to our previous view mode, and let's see what we have here that we want. We want the text, we want the logos, and we want the @learn share, right? The @learn share is right here, but because it's white, you're not able to see it. All right, so we want the logos, how to, and the @learn share, and then we're hitting Control and the C to copy, and then we're going over our new layer, our new template rather, our square template, and we're hitting Control, Shift, and V to paste them in the exact same coordinates. But as you see, they look a bit weird because they're all underneath the purple. So let's go ahead and move them up above all that, right? So let's go ahead and close this layer. All right, Control and S to save. Then we can just move around things as we want. The @learn share is right here. See that? Let's just move it down. Let me just change the color so you can see it. T on my keyboard. Let me just change the color to black, just for the purposes of visibility. Let's make the text a bit bigger. Let's do 8. And then let's move it down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 while holding Shift. Now we can change the color back to white. And remember, you can make the color of any element, anything you guys like, right? And then let's just edit the text here by hitting T on our keyboard, and then let's just put it all in one line, seeing that our template is now wider and can hold more things in one line, right? And then let's increase the size of our text by selecting everything and then going about 24. That should be good. Let's do the same for the how to edit, bringing it all in one line, selecting everything, bringing it up to about 24 to match the top, pressing enter, and then let's move it down some. All right, about there. That looks good, right? And then let's just go ahead and hit Control and S to save. Let me press F to cycle through our screen mode so you guys can see better. And then let's go ahead and just select our symbols, and let's just increase the size of them individually. So remember, this is a feed post, right? This is not a story post. The one we did earlier, the vertical one, would go in your stories or your IGTV, right? This will be in your feed, so the square is perfect, and you don't have to worry about the circular DP right here that we were worrying about in the previous vertical template, right? So let's go ahead and hit Control and T on each of these elements, or I could have just pressed Escape to stop that, and then just increase the size of the entire symbol group by just going here and just upscaling this, or I could have just held a corner and right, see what I mean? I can do any one of those two methods, right? But for the purposes of this, let's just do them individually. Let's do the forward slashes first, and let's just change it to 20. All right, let's move it over here, and then let us do the plus signs. Let's just Control and T for the control options, and let's just increase the size and move it over like so. And then we can do the same for the minus signs on the bottom. Control and T to increase the sizes, and just roll the percentage higher, right? So let's move it down a bit. It doesn't have to be perfect, right? I'm just showing you guys the principle, right? And then for the logos, let me just close this group or collapse this group. For the logos, let's align the logos to the center of our project. It should already be centered because we pasted it from with the previous coordinates, and it was in the center in the previous coordinates, right? So let's go ahead and hit V, and then let's align the horizontal and vertical. Oops, let's just align horizontal centers, right? All right, there we have it. Let's move it down a bit, and then let's add some guides to this template, right? Let's bring over some guides from the rulers, 100 on each side, 1820, 100, and this one is 1820 as well. And remember, how we get 1820 is that the bottom here, the template is 1920, so minusing 100 pixels from that would make it 1820, right? All right, we're holding shift while we're moving it to get precise measurements, right? Control and S to save. Let's zoom out and see what we have, and then turn off the guides by hitting Control and the semicolon. All right, that doesn't look too bad, right? Let's move the Learn Share logo and the Premiere logo a bit farther apart. Let's do 1, 2, 3, 4 to the left, and then for the Premiere 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right. All right. All right, how does that look? That doesn't look too bad, right? And for the purposes of this square template, let's change the color of the @Learn Share photo to yellow, right? Remember, I have T selected for my type tool, and then I have tool options up top, and then I'm just clicking on the color box here and just picking the yellow here, right? And remember, this transparent area is where my video will be visible, right? Control and S to save, and then let's hit Control Shift and S on my keyboard to save as, and let's leave the name as is, and then let's change the type to PNG, right? Okay, and I have a screenshot from the last video that I was editing, so let me just go ahead and bring in a screenshot and place it here. That way you guys will see how a video would look in this template, right? All right, let's bring in the screenshot. I have it here, drag it in, enter, and let's just put the screenshot underneath. Well, it's already underneath the image layer, but you can see it's black and white because remember earlier in the previous template I had clipped the hue and saturation to the image of me that's in the background, but when I brought it into this new template, it wasn't clipped. So let me go ahead and clip that by right clicking and then create clipping mask, and it will only make the image of me black and white, right? Now I can move my image around to show you guys how it would fit if my video was playing. So if my video was playing, this is what the video would look like within the overlay template, right? And you can see the @learn share photo is there. And if you wanted, you could have added more stuff to this. You know, you could have moved one of the symbols down like this, so it's, you know, touching the video, you know, giving it a real nice cool look if you want, right? So tons of ways to get creative with a video overlay template. Now let's have a look at both of them side by side. What do you guys think? This is real nice. So imagine this. This is your feed post right here, right? That would go on your Instagram or Facebook feed. And then now you have a corresponding story that looks similar to your feed, right? So you automatically have uniformed posts, uniform stories. So your social media presence will be that much leveled up and you will definitely stand out from everyone else. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Question of the day. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you think that video overlay graphics improve the appearance and presentation of your video? Let me know in the comments below. And hey, remember, I have some free social media graphics just like this with corresponding story templates that match square feed templates, right? You can also download those from the link in the description below. I'll have that free resource there for you guys, right? You can also go ahead and share this video with someone who you think it will help. And thank you guys so much for watching. Once again, my name is Cjam, and I will see you guys in the next video.